All right. Good morning, everyone. Let's get going. Um, okay. All right. Um, Kicking it off after the weekend, U.S. action on Friday's session really um, more of a sideways session than anything, but markets finishing closer to the highs or at the highs on most of the indexes. The one outlier that we have there again is that I think we saw a little bit of weakness again out of small caps on the day, which have definitely been a leader on the way up, as well as the Nasdaq, and along with the Nasdaq, been definitely underperforming over the last month or so. We did get the Nasdaq that kind of reversed the earlier sell-off in the day yesterday, but obviously give us a little bit of a bounce in today's session, but it hasn't really proven itself yet. So we're going to continue to watch the big tech stocks, the really hot tech stocks, the social media players, and the biotechs and that kind of thing to see where we're going to get some leadership going forward. All right. We had a couple things happen on Friday. Obviously, we had Dr. Dre, which is getting ready to become a billionaire. That's quite exciting. But not a whole lot else that kind of led the markets there. Looking over to the Asian session this morning, we got a big boost in Asia on the back of the hopes that there could be some potential changes in regulation there. If I'm not mistaken here, China is saying that they're going to relax limits on foreign investment in listed companies, which is a big change in what the policy had always been. I think that's really where you got the boost this morning in Shanghai and in Hang Seng. On the other side of that, and the flip side of that, I thought was quite a bearish comment, which came out of President Xi Jinping, saying that China needs to adapt to the new normal in the pace of economic expansion. And people, I think, are expecting that to mean that he's basically trying to say that they're not going to come with stimulus like everyone's expecting. So I'm kind of surprised of the way that China actually pushed higher with that combination of comments, but obviously guys excited that foreigners can kind of come in and buy stocks there finally. All right, we had Tencent this morning as well, which is up about 5.5% there, which is obviously going to lead Naspers up. And then in Australia, which is totally on the flip side of things there, really underperformed, down a little bit on the day, and you really saw the miners underperform. Not really sure why the mining stocks underperformed though. I threw something in there about gold, but bottom line is, I mean, copper's up this morning over 1%. The rest of the commodity space is rather solid. Maybe it's simply just on the news about the new normal there for China. I don't know. All right, interesting chart right here, and this is actually something that's giving me some caution going into the next few weeks and the way that I'm thinking. What this is showing the bullish, bearish sentiment indicators going since 2009, and you can see they're relative to the S&P 500 and exactly what the reactions were in terms of sentiment. And typically, as you can see there, when the bullish sentiment starts to drop, as you can see here, kind of the beginning of 2014, then we kind of got our next leg up on the S&P. A lot of the falls, if you look back in 2012, some of the sell-offs back in 2010, basically most of the lows in the sentiment index, the bullish sentiment index, are marked by lows in the market. And the fact that the bullishness and equity markets has driven down to relative lows of the last several years, really is probably quite bullish for the equity market. So I think this is a really important chart. Makes me really scared actually to be short, or more nervous to be short than maybe I was. So I think this is very important, and we'll continue to have a look at this going forward. I mean, the bottom line is everybody else out there has also been seeing what's happening with the Russell and what's happening with the Nasdaq's probably gotten a hell of a lot of people short, and you've just got no follow through pretty much anywhere else in the world. All right, this morning we got SAPI out at the opening bell for the second quarter numbers. They're expecting headline earnings per share to come in at 6.4 cents, and revenue to be at 1.53 billion. That's dollars. Both those numbers are dollars. And then also Lonmin, which is coming out with first half numbers, we're expecting headline EPS to be at 1.2 US cents, revenues to be $497.2 million. All right. Very little out in market data today. We had the Japanese current account balance out of this morning. A bit softer there on the current account balance and on the trade balance numbers. We've got the Lloyd's employment confidence numbers in the UK later, and then in the States we've got monthly budget statement numbers. So very, very little in terms of market data today. We're just going to need to sit back and follow the trade action. Okay, looking at the week ahead, we've got Life Healthcare and Nedbank out with first half and quarter update numbers tomorrow. We've got the Chinese industrial production and retail sales numbers tomorrow, and then we've got retail sales numbers in the States as well. On Wednesday, we've got Mondi with a first quarter update, as well as the CML with first half numbers, and then we've got Tencent, which is coming out with quarter one numbers tomorrow also. On Thursday, or sorry, not tomorrow, on Wednesday. Thursday, we've got CFR, SPAR, and Old Mutual, which are coming out with full year, first half, and quarter one update numbers. We've got CPI, industrial production in the States, as well as Yellen, who's going to be addressing the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. We've got quarter one GDP numbers out of Japan, and in Germany, Italy, and France, we've got quarter one GDP numbers as well Thursday. All right, let's get into the maps. Okay. The first thing I'm going to look at is Standard Bank. And basically, Standard Bank is, well, chart's looking bullish to say the least. We're coming back right back up, and we actually made a new closing high, but only by 2 or 3 cents, so you don't really call that a breakout. This thing's either getting ready to probably put in a double top here or break out to new highs. It could possibly pull back a little bit and start to consolidate just below the breakout here, but the bottom line is this level needs to be watched very, very closely. I just put 144 as the number for a breakout. If we get through 144, this thing's going to be off to the races and really gives us a target price of over 150 Rand. So keep a close eye on Standard Bank. Anglos, I'm going to show Anglos in London. Anglos in London actually kind of looked like it was failing at the end of the session on Friday, but then the U.S. markets kind of turned around. We reversed higher. I think if we zoom in here, you can see that I think the level's a little bit below 16. I'd like to peg the level here. Call it 1595, somewhere in there. 1595 is really the kind of what I would say is maybe the top end. But either way, we've definitely broken out of that on a closing basis. I think that this thing has been building for quite some time. You can see here the pullbacks kind of started to just get smaller and smaller and smaller. A lot of touches along this line, so the fact that we did get above it is definitely significant. We'll have to see how this one plays out today. But, this is a significantly higher target setting up here in Anglo. So watch it here locally as well. I didn't even really have a close look at it here locally. We definitely had some sort of resistance as well at 580. I think we closed a little bit below that, but 580, 280, we get a push away from 280 a little bit later. To the upside, it could definitely mean a bit of a breakout here and significantly higher targets there on Anglos. All right. Netcare. Let's look at Netcar. Let's actually look at a 2-year chart. It's a little bit more clear. Actually kind of looking a little bit like the 1 year on Standard Bank. 26 is our level. We came up and tested it on the last couple sessions. I haven't been able to push through, but if we get above 26 in Netcar, we have, I mean, we've put in some nice consolidation here over the past kind of 6 or 7 months of relatively close to this level, and a breakout through $26. It could have a significantly higher target, I would say over 30 Rand on a breakout there above 26. All right, Woolies. If you look at Woolies here, I think we've looked at this chart before, but we're coming up again, and we're really testing this trend resistance. I mean, it's perfectly symmetrical. You can see we're touching here once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, we're going for our 9th or 10th attempt here on trend resistance and Woolies. So that kind of says it all. The more touches, the more significance that you're going to have on trend resistance or trend support. So let's see if this thing can pop through. I'd say we'll be looking for about a push up through 73.50. Would probably be a level where we could call this thing finally breaking out. It needs to get through 73.50, and it needs to actually push away from it a little bit. So if we can get up through that in Woolies, and I don't see any reason why this thing can't take it to the next level. We'll look at SPAR real quickly, and let's actually zoom in here. Look at it on a 30 minute chart, and you can really just see here how we've been consolidating for ages now, and really sort of made a punch through this level finally. It's a bit rough here, but in terms of real resistance, I think it's about 125. We closed at 124.53, so we've still got to really punch up through that to get a confirmed breakout. But we definitely failed it on Friday. Let's see if we can get back up through 125. Probably even want to call it about 125.50 just for real confirmation. But watch how this plays out, because if this doesn't break out, if this isn't able to get back above that level and hold above it, it might make a bit of a reversal and start to move back to the downside. So watch SPAR closely. And the last one I'm going to show is Able. Actually, there's a lot of stuff on Able in the paper on the weekend. This is definitely, it's a bit of a disastrous scenario going on for them, I think, at the moment. A lot of guys calling this thing significantly lower from here. There's 2 things we're going to look for, 2 levels I think that we must look for here. I'm a close guy, so I like to see something working below closing prices. So about 940 is definitely where we're going to see. Let's just double check on that. That's in fact, that's 935. And that's 937. So we're going to look for a break below 935 on a closing basis. Intraday basis, we're going to look down here at 906 for us to really get a potential free fall in Able. I think that's what's going to take. But either way, the setup here is looking terrible. I mean, really, if you look here in the bigger scheme of things, we had a very small bounce. A lot of guys picked up a lot of paper on the rights issue that's really not even in the money anymore. Barely is in the money anymore. And I think, provided if they have to do another rights issue, they're going to have to go at insanely cheap prices, and so that may be what you see. You may start to see guys starting to sell off in anticipation of that. So watch that closely. If that drops out, it could get ugly here. And that's it for today, guys. Thanks a lot.